Psalms 37, freight not yourselves because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they soon will fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as light, and your justice as the noonday. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourselves over those who prospers in his ways, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourselves, it tends only to evil. For the evildoer will be cut off, but those who wait on the Lord shall inherit the land. In just a little while the wicked will be no more. Though you look carefully at his place, he will not be there, but the meek shall inherit the earth and delight themselves in the abundance peace. The wicked plot against the righteous and gnash their teeth at him, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees that his day is coming. The wicked draws the sword and bend their bows, and brings down the poor and needy, to slay those whose way is upright. Their sword shall enter in their own hearts, and their bow shall be broken. Better is the little that the righteous have than the abundance of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The Lord knows the days of the blameless, and their heritage will remain forever. They are not put to shame in evil times, and in the days of famine they will have abundance. But the wicked will perish. The enemies of the Lord are like the glory of the pastors. They vanish. Like smoke they vanish away. The wicked borrows, but he does not repay, and the righteous is generous and gives. For those blessed by the Lord shall inherit the land, but those cursed by him shall be cut off. The steps of a man are established by the Lord. When he delights in his ways, though he falls, he shall not be cast headlong. For the Lord upholds his head. I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, or his children begging for bread. He is ever lending generously, and his children become a blessing. Turn away from evil and do good, so shall you dwell forever. For the Lord loves justice. He will not forsake his saints. They are preserved forever. But the children of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell upon it forever. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. The law of God is in his heart. His steps do not slip. The wicked watches for the righteous, and seeks to put him to death. The Lord will not abandon him to his power, or let him be condemned when he is brought to trial. Wait for the Lord and keep his ways, and he will exalt you in the land. You will look on when the wicked are cut off. I have seen the wicked, ruthless man, spreading himself like a green laurel tree, but he passes away, and behold, he was no more. Though I sought him, he could not be found. Mark the blameless, and behold the upright, for there is a future for the man of peace. But transgressors shall be altogether destroyed. The future of the wicked shall be cut off. The salvation of the righteous is from the Lord. He is their stronghold in the times of trouble. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. So there's a repeated phrase that the righteous will inherit the land. Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:5 says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the land. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God." So one of the blessings of people who walk with God is that we inherit the land. What does that mean? It means that ultimately we win. We win at the end. We inherit the earth. It says land, but it means earth, that one day there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And this earth that we have and the heaven that God's in right now, it's all going to be burned away. So fire is a purifier, and God's going to purify all of creation one day. He's going to set everything on fire and just start over again. There's going to be a new earth. Now, this inherit the land part, though, there's 1,000-year reign in prophecy. Jesus comes, he sets his kingdom on earth, he rules from Zion in the third temple for 1,000 years. And for that 1,000-year period, it's a time of rest. It's a time of rest, kind of like the Sabbath is a time of rest. And there's a day coming when Jesus will come, rule over the nations. It will be a time of rest. From what? Rest from the struggle of sin and the devil. The devil's going to be locked away for a season and then released at the end of that 1,000 years. But that's what it means to inherit the earth, is that at the end we are going to inherit the earth and rule side by side with Jesus. And what does that look like? I don't know. Some people say Christians are going to hold political offices like governors and presidents and political offices of nations and kingdoms and cities during that 1,000-year reign. It's all theories. It doesn't matter. It talks about the wicked, constantly talks about the wicked, how they are like the grass and they're going to just wither away. And it describes them as they're here 1 minute and gone the next. In verse 35, it says, I have seen a wicked, ruthless man spreading himself like a green laurel tree. A green laurel tree is a type of tree that even whenever it's snowing outside, this kind of tree would still have green leaves. In the harshest conditions, this tree is still completely green. And it's describing a ruthless man, a wicked, ruthless man, like a green laurel tree. But then it says, but he passed away, and behold, he was no more. And then it says, though I sought him, I could not find them. So they're gone. You can't find them no more. There's a separation going on between those who have rejected God and those who have not rejected God. A kind of separation where you would not even be able to have a communication or relationship with them anymore. And this actually breaks my heart. It really does. I had a dream when I was younger. See, my mom, she never accepted Christ. And I had this dream that I left and I came back. And when I came back, my mom was gone and she was nowhere to be found. And I've always thought, man, did that dream like tell me that my mom's going to hell? And I've been praying for her salvation ever since. And my ex-girlfriend's sister, I had multiple dreams of the same thing, where like I would have dreams that I would see her parents in heaven and then my ex on earth grieving, but then her sister is nowhere to be found. And that grieved me a lot too. I'm like, and I've been praying for her salvation too. But it's hard whenever you got Christians who think that they know God and they don't know God. And they don't know that they don't know God because they know a lot of things about God. And a lot of those kind of Christians are going to end up standing before God one day and finding out, that they never knew Jesus. And Jesus talks about this in Matthew 7, verse 21. And then on that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. There's a day coming when Christians who go to church, who preach at the pulpits, who are very involved in ministry, will actually stand before Jesus and get told, I don't know you. And that's why I think it's important when you find these kind of Christians who don't know God, who they have evidence and fruit in their life that they don't know who Jesus is, you call them out. Why do you call them out? Well, you call them out so that they can understand that, hey, other people see something in you that is not right. And maybe they don't know God. And maybe it's time for them to re-examine their life. Now, other people, they'll just ignore you and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Only God can judge me. And he will judge you. He will judge you one day. That's sad. David says, the wicked man is spreading himself out like a green laurel tree. That gives me a picture of a very successful, wealthy individual. He probably has a lot of land, a lot of money in the bank, a lot of animals, very wealthy in the eyes of the world, successful. A lot of times people will put wealth and success alongside with, oh, I must be doing everything good when it comes to my relationship with God because God has blessed me with all this wealth. We have to be careful with that because right here in verse 16 it says, there is a little that the righteous have than the abundance of the many wicked. Just because you're stacking up money to the side and you got land and livestock and wealth beyond your compare that you can even imagine and you got more money than you know what to do with does not mean that God has blessed you for being faithful to him. It doesn't mean that. It might just mean that you're just a wicked man spreading himself out like a green laurel tree and one day you're not gonna be standing on. No, you might be just like Psalms 1, a green tree that's prospering and next to the water, and it's because you're following God, but not a guarantee that, oh, if I follow God, I'm gonna be wealthy. This green tree that we are going to be is more of a like bearing fruit in our lives, how we love each other and how we are kind to one another, the fruit of the Spirit living and breathing through us. Now, when people see us and they communicate with us, they say there's something different about this person. That's what it means to be a green tree, a green, prospering tree. Right here, it talks about the person that walks with God is verse 25. I have been young and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or his children begging for bread. He is ever lending generously, and his children become a blessing. His children become a blessing. He's lending generously. There's this new idea among Christians that, oh, I'm not going to give to the church. They're just going to waste my money. They're going to, do A, B, and C with my money. Those who are walking with God are faithful with the money and resources that God has given them. If you're not faithful with those resources, there's a problem with your faith. There's a problem with what you believe. There's a saying, show me your bank account and I'll show you where your values are. Where you spend money and how you spend money says a lot about what you believe. It really does. If say you go to church every Sunday and you love the Lord, you say you love the Lord, but you're over here spending money in a strip club, or you're spending money to buy a bunch of beer and alcohol, but you're not really giving money to the church, or you're not giving money towards mission. How you spend your money says a lot. And so I want to encourage you that if you're not spending your money on the things that count, think about what do I believe? What do I believe? This ministry right here, been doing it since high school. And every year I probably spend close to $2,000 a year for the website ads that I have on Facebook and YouTube and to reach people because these companies, they don't just push your content out. You have to pay for the ad so that they will push your content out. It's all the algorithm stuff. But with the website and then sometimes I create apps and other things too, buy Bibles. But every year it comes out to be like, $1,500 to $2,000. Why? Well, it's because this is what I believe. This is what my values are, is to get the gospel to the ends of the earth. I don't do this for my health, I go run for my health. I preach the word of God because I know that at the end, this is all that matters. Heaven and earth will pass away, but the words of God will never pass away. Not even a little iota. And a little iota is just like a little tiny mark on a Greek word. And that doesn't really make a difference in how you pronounce the word. It's just there. And Jesus says, if you remove that mark, I will remove you from the book of life. I can go on and on and on, but Psalms 37, in short, what Psalms 37 is all about is the difference between the righteous and the wicked. How the righteous will inherit the land. How the righteous will be a blessing to his neighbor. How those who walk with God will be a blessing to their children. How those who walk with God will be a blessing when they speak. That their tongues and their mouth will utter wisdom. It says right there in verse 30 that their tongue speaks justice, their mouth utters wisdom. You want to be wise? You want to be a person of justice? It starts with walking with God. The ultimate judge that you can ever be on this earth is not some Supreme Court ruling judge on the federal level. It's a person that walks with God because God is going to reveal to them what the truth is. But the wicked, those who have rejected God, it says that they just want to plot evil against those who have accepted God. It says that their sword, the wicked draws the sword and bends their bow, but brings down the to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose way is upright. Their sword shall enter their own heart. You see this all throughout the Bible, all throughout the Psalms and the Proverbs, that when evil people rise up against the righteous people, when people who have rejected God rise up against people who have accepted and followed God, all of the attacks, all of the bullets, all of the arrows, everything that they bring against the righteous without cause gets bounced back off the righteous and just goes right back at the evil people. And we're watching that right now politically with Trump and Tim Watts and all those political people. All these people who have made it their life's mission to destroy Trump. A lot of them are standing trial right now. There's a prosecutor, Fannie Willis. She ran for that prosecutor office for, I think it was an attorney general. She ran for that position, vowing to make sure that Trump ends up in prison. And the tables turned, and now she might end up in prison because of all the corruption that was taking place. But all the arrows that she threw at Trump came right back at her. Evil people will always fall down, and those who do what is right are protected by God. Now, you might not like Trump. You might say he's a liar, but we are all broken people. We are all sinners. No one on earth can stand before God and say, I'm perfect. You can't. There's no such thing as a perfectionist. There is no such thing as a perfectionist. Only God is a perfectionist. God alone. No one can be justified on their own merit before God. But those who trust in Jesus, who walked with God, they're protected by God. Me and you, we can have that same protection. We can have that same guarantee that when people come against us, we don't even have to do anything. Now, sometimes it's a good idea to do something, make a move, but a lot of times God seems to step right on in and make a move. And sometimes God might just make a move that allows you to make a move so that the ultimate move can be made. And what I mean by that is there was a contractor, I'm a locator. There was a contractor, he wanted me to locate the entire city in 3 days. And I told him, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna throw pink flags on the ground. And just don't go past the pink flags and we'll be good. This contractor was going past all the pink flags that I was burning down on the ground and hitting cables in the ground and then trying to blame me for it. So I made a bunch of phone calls and everyone told me, oh, there's nothing we can do. And then a couple days later, I was on another job site and the supervisor for the utility company was on that job site checking his email. And I mentioned it to him. And the supervisor said, I'm going to go talk to the township supervisor. The very next day, I was in that city. The township supervisor was in the city too. And that crew, that company was wrapping up everything and they were leaving. And all the damages that they had, they were trying to throw on me, got thrown back at that company. That's just a small example of this. Man, God, one day He's going to redeem His people, save them from their sin, and all of our sin is going to get thrown right back at Satan. We say that all of our sin got put on Jesus and we receive His righteousness and He received our sin and then He went to hell. And that's true. But one day, all of the sins of the world ultimately is going to get flown right back at Satan, and Satan's going to get the worst punishment of them all. along with the false prophet. Just like the psalmist says, wait for the Lord and keep his ways, and he will exalt you to inherit the land. And you would look on when the wicked were cut off. That's a promise to everyone who trusts in Christ. But we have to wait on the Lord.